Hi everyone, welcome to week 9 or assignment 9 for social justice. And today I want to discuss my circle of responsibility as a pastor from Africa, Ghana to be specific. Um, I believe I have calling in the area of supporting um, the widows as well as the youth um, in my church. And it's something that I started when I was in Ghana, and I was posted or I was transferred to a village as my first station, which is normally the usual thing of doing. If you are a new pastor that you are employed, you are sent to maybe a small town or a village to start your ministry. And when I got to the place, I was touched by the fact that most of these widows in the church were living in abject poverty. And the Lord laid on my heart to support these vulnerable women, um, which the church was not doing. And then again, I realized that the youths were also suffering in terms of getting jobs and even continue their education. And I realized some of them needed advice and coaching to help build their lives. Some of them too, I mean, couldn't continue education because of maybe lack of resources from the family, from the parents to continue education. Therefore, these two are my main circle of responsibility as a pastor. And as I said earlier on, normally for the widows, I do support them, and I began this work with my own resources. So myself and my wife were supporting the widows, especially at the end of the year during Christmas time, where we buy clothes, we buy food items, we provide shelter for those who don't have any decent place of abode. And this was what we were doing to help them. And then those youth who couldn't continue their education and who were going through a lot of issues when it comes to trade or work, we try to put them into trade to learn something to do with their lives. And some of them went into seamstress or became seamstress or fashion designers. Some learned trade like carpentry, and some also became like drivers and all that. And we had to pay for their initial fees for them to be enrolled into this kind of trade. So this was what we were doing until I came to Canada a year ago to continue my master's education. And it's something that is on my heart, which I plan to continue when I go back. However, um, there are some limitations when it comes to resources or finances, because to finance these widows every year at the end of the year, I mean, it's quite capital intensive. And then also supporting the youth also requires a lot of money for you to do that. And since I was doing this with my wife and with my own resources, it was quite challenging. But it's something that is dear to me, which I want to consider doing or continuously doing when I go back to Ghana after my studies. Um, I will say that my church um, wasn't part of this idea or what I was doing, because the church itself didn't have enough finances. Um, but prior to my coming here, the church leadership bought into the idea, which I was proud of. And I want to ensure that when I go back, we'll try to find meaning to it and ensure that we'll be able to raise some resources to finance these two departments of the church, which has been neglected for quite some time now. Because when the youth is not supported, there's no way they have a future. Therefore, it's one of my social cycles to ensure I empower the youth. We are thinking of expanding this benevolence activity to the public or to the community that we find ourselves in. I remember the first time I did this, some members of the community even were attracted to come to my church, all because in the name of the pastor has provided something for the widows within the church. And the youth were attracted to the church because they realized myself and my wife were supporting the youth to have some trade, to have something to do with their hands. And this was even unconsciously a way that we were able to win souls for the church. And it was a practical way of attracting, or practical way of administering justice to the vulnerable or the marginalized within the church. So it's something that we are also envisaging, that we will extend this activity to the public if we're able to have enough funds, or we're able to have a budget that is going to support us to do this. And with that, we'll be able to reach out to a larger group of people. So this is um, my circle of responsibility, which I keep on praying about it, and hoping that the Lord will also open more doors for us to have enough funds to support the needy or widows among us in the church. And by so doing, we'll be able to fulfill scriptures, and that people will also have livelihood even as they grow up from the youthful age to adulthood. Yeah, so this is my piece of circle of responsibility, and I wait for your comments. Thank you.